Welcome everyone to the 82nd Innovation Team Reception and In-Processing Idea Pitch. I'm Captain Dwyer. Now, in-processing is unfortunately a necessary evil of the Army. Sometimes you're at a duty station that you really enjoy and end up transitioning to one that you're unfamiliar with and might not know a lot about. And despite being a standardized military force when it comes to in-processing various duty stations, we don't always follow the same steps and processes. Some duty locations consolidate groups into classes and have the various post-organization and activities come and brief the soldiers. Others give soldiers an initiative, give them a checklist, and give them some freedom and some initiative to go and knock out their checklist as they see fit. Here at Fort Bragg specifically, we follow the ladder checklist model, and while it's we're not looking to change the entire process, we're looking to help make it more efficient. When a lot of the soldiers who end up coming to Fort Bragg, most of the junior enlisted soldiers, this is their first duty station out of TRADOC. They've gone from a very regimented, set schedule to suddenly having a relatively a lot of amount of freedom. They're given a checklist, and oftentimes they see the very first thing, they go and hit that, and they end up taking a lot of time and not being as efficient as they could be for in-processing. So unfortunately, the current in-processing system we have now ends up wasting time for soldiers without providing as much information as possible. So I'll be followed by Dave, who's going to cover some of what soldiers have been saying.
So what are soldiers saying? So throughout the past week, our team interviewed a diverse group of soldiers spanning the ranks of privates who just arrived at their first duty station to field grade officers who are seasoned in processing procedures when arriving to a new installation. These interviews produced conversations that enabled our team to refine our solution to being focused on an individual and personal itinerary for in-processing soldiers with an end goal of enhanced guidance and direction while providing a personal experience for each soldier in processing. Soldiers who were interviewed reported that while they were given an in-processing schedule, it did not necessarily provide them a best practice or best course of action. There are multiple agencies that only provide their services and briefs on certain days, which results in many soldiers in-processing the same handful of agencies on post at the same time. We found that soldiers often follow the DA 5123, which is the DA form governing in-processing and installation directly from top to bottom. With the majority of the in-processing soldiers following the sheet to a T, this results in the majority of new soldiers starting directly with eMilpo. This inevitably just slows down the process on a reoccurring schedule. We also found that senior soldiers are often able to complete their in-processing in under 3 days, while junior soldiers often need up to 5 days to properly in-process the installation. In the following slides, we'll explain in depth the plan we have designed based on our interview results to implement into an individually tailored and automated in-processing itinerary, which will be custom designed for each soldier. I'll be followed again by Captain Dwyer.
Thank you. So as I stated earlier, the intent isn't to completely rework what Fort Bragg has, but to go and make it a more personal, efficient system. When we have a soldier come in, depending on whether they get their beginning, end of the duty day, they receive an individual tailored in-processing itinerary that helps make it as efficient as possible in processing Fort Bragg. We'll be followed by Mike to talk about the future of our itinerary system.
All right, this solution, as envisioned, allows newly arrived soldiers to receive custom-tailored and digitally automated in-processing itineraries after signing into their respective reception company, and will directly account for their individual circumstances, such as date and time of arrival, as well as specific in-processing needs. As it currently stands, certain in-processing requirements are only offered on specific days of the week. frequently resulting in extended in-processing durations due to having missed a window of opportunity. In this scenario, a soldier that arrives on Tuesday afternoon and then misses a brief that is only offered on Wednesday may find themselves waiting until the following Wednesday in order to complete in-processing, despite being finished with all other requirements. Directed itineraries ensure that soldiers hit necessary stations in the most efficient order. Second, tailored itineraries avoid the first step pitfall, as previously discussed, wherein all soldiers, following the checklist in numerical order, tend to bunch up at the same stations. Digital automation allows for a careful accounting of how many individuals have been directed to each stop and in what order. Third, each digitally automated system provides soldiers with the guidance and direction necessary to maneuver the in-processing steps, a currently noted deficiency according to interviewees. Finally, and as a nice-to-have bonus, CAC-enabled digital automation reduces or removes the amount of paperwork, such as orders, checklists, and records, currently being lugged around throughout in-processing. I'll be followed by Captain Oswald.
So how do we get there? Knowing the natural tendency we all have to follow a checklist in order, and a new soldier's desire to have a clear and precise list of instructions, our initial proof of concept was to develop a manual itinerary for an incoming soldier, a private straight from AIT. Our personal itinerary outlined the order in which the soldier should go to each in-processing station by day and time. We highlighted the key briefs that are set times and then sequenced the other requirements into the tailored itinerary. Following our itinerary would allow a new soldier to complete all in-processing steps in 2.5 days. This is an improvement from the average 4 days it currently takes first-term soldiers from AIT to complete the process. We'll be able to build on this initial success as we create itineraries for more soldiers and then transition to the CAC-enabled automated system, which generates these personal itineraries based on demand and average processing time at each station. If approved, our next step will be a trial with a busload of soldiers coming from airborne school. This is an ideal population to further refine our tailored itineraries, as it is a group of 30 to 40 junior soldiers who are coming to their first permanent duty station. Upon arrival, we will give each soldier one of 5 itineraries. One of these itineraries will simply be the current in-processing checklist to serve as the control. This trial allows us to evaluate the effect of directing a group of soldiers along 5 distinct paths through the in-processing stations. We'll evaluate how long the soldiers took to in-process, the flow between steps, where backlogs occurred, and the ease of use for each soldier. This step brings us closer to our ultimate goal of welcoming new soldiers to Fort Bragg in an efficient manner, while also ensuring all of their individual in-processing needs are met in order to provide each unit mission-ready soldiers. We look forward to seeing this personal, user-friendly approach in action as we welcome the newest members to our team at Fort Bragg.
Thank you very much for listening to our presentation. We look forward to hearing your questions.